Hi, welcome back to PÖFF TV. My name is Johanna Kristina and we're here right in the center of the Black Nights Film Festival. Today we have an amazing and really talented director joining us behind the Dreaming of Lions film. So let's give a big welcome to Paolo Marinou-Blanco. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. Very happy to be here.
Oh, nice to hear. So, as an introduction, could you briefly summarize what your new film, Dreaming of Lion, is about?
It's a surreal tragic comedy about euthanasia.
But what inspired you to make this movie? Was it some kind of personal experience or some events that happened that inspired it, or?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, one of the main reasons was, my father passed away a number of years ago, and he went through a process where, because euthanasia wasn't legal, then he just wanted it to end, because he was in pain, he couldn't speak.
Yeah, right.
So he wanted it to end quickly, and he wasn't allowed to, so because the task of the doctors was to keep him alive at all points. And yet, even so, I mean, to speak about the comedy aspect of it, even so, he would make fun of them. And he would see the comedic side of his situation.
Okay, so he was like really inspiration for you.
Yeah, and not only that, it's also me. I went through certain periods in my life where I think everyone goes through them, where you're a little bit more down. And then in one of those periods, I was, researching a lot about euthanasia, and I suddenly realized that gave me an idea to make a film, and then I came out of being sad because now I had the hope of making this film. So it's also a little bit about the transformative power of imagination, in a way, that you suddenly, no matter how bad things get, you suddenly get that spark of an idea and things are great again.
Oh, so nice to hear. Okay, but your 2021 short film Empty Hands seems to serve almost as an entry to your new film. Was the idea of this film born on set of the short film, or was a full feature always the plan?
No, the feature was always the plan. And then what happened was, without going into too much detail, but somehow I got the funding for the feature before I made the short. So the short, I'd already gotten some funding for it, but then as a kind of test for the feature, and then I realized, okay, well, I got the initial funding for the feature, so then I went back to the short and rewrote it just as a kind of laboratory to try out some techniques, and using just one of the characters, so not the lead actress, but the lead actor, and just make a short 15-minute film about him. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, great answer. So, but both films are deeply centered around death. What is it about this concept, and in this case euthanasia, that you find so fascinating?
Well, for me, it really is just the flip side of life, really. I mean, it's if you try and ask yourself, okay, well, what is it that makes life worth living, right? I mean, why do you live? And immediately that brings you to the question of death. I mean, that's so in a way, I think it's going through the mirror or the looking glass of death allows you to really see what makes life worth living, what doesn't, what is important, what isn't important in your life. And so that's why I think I've always had this conception. It's just, in the absolute certainty that we're all kicking the bucket, at some point.
Okay.
Then what are we supposed to be doing here?
Yeah, so you like have these things into perspective if you're thinking about death. Yeah. But what is your personal favorite scene from the film?
Huh.
Do you have any?
Ooh, that's quite...
Do you want to act it out?
yeah, exactly. Like I said, I'll do the whole film.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough... Actually, no one's ever asked me that. Well, I mean, it's the world premiere, so, no one's asked me almost anything so far. So, but... I mean, it's hard to pick just one. Okay, but I'll try.
You can pick two also, like...
All right, well then I like the end scene very much. Okay, I think it managed to sort of bring these two strands of comedy, dark comedy, and tragedy very well together. And then I'm going to do a bit of a generalization. I always get excited with the more surreal elements of the film because it has a number of surreal elements and straight-to-camera address, and so those I always find anything that challenges our expectations of everyday life, I find exciting as a filmmaker, but even as an audience member. Yeah.
Okay. So. What was the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge?
Yeah, while making this film. Did you have any challenges?
Yeah, of course, you always have challenges. But the biggest challenge was precisely finding the right tone. And this was a challenge, I mean, already at script level. But then, that challenge, and what I mean by tone is the right tone between certain absurd strands or absurd or surreal strands, the incredibly heavy topics that we're dealing with, right? Yeah. I mean, the very tragic, heavy topics of terminal illness and death and knowing that your life is going to end but wanting to continue living. These are very difficult things, and still looking at it through the prism of comedy. So to combine all of this into one film in a way that one of these elements doesn't overpower the others. So that was the hardest thing. And so that difficulty basically goes from one level to the next. So it was difficult at script, then it's difficult during the production, especially with the actors. So it was a lot of work, and they were incredible collaborators in that, in finding the right tone for each scene, or sometimes even for just one line, so that it lands in exactly the same way. And then lastly, in the editing, because again, it was, a challenge, bringing all of these strands into one coherent film through the edit.
Oh my God. Yeah. If I hear you, I can't imagine even how tricky it can be, so you wouldn't be too overly humorous or too dark. So exactly. How do you find this perfect balance? Yeah, between...
because it's like on a knife's edge always. Yeah. So because it's not a straightforward drama, it's not a straightforward comedy. I mean, I think that would be less of a challenge. I think all filmmaking is a challenge, but that would be perhaps more straightforward. This was it was like a juggler never being able to drop a ball.
Always figuring out.
Yeah.
But how much different was making your second feature film in comparison to the first?
Well, you mean the actual production itself, or already from the start, from writing, from everything?
Production,
I guess.
Everything,
all right. Well, I guess in terms of writing, I was more courageous in the second feature. I think in the first one, there is this kind of feeling of, let's walk before we can run. And so you get some crazy ideas that come organically and naturally, and that you're like, no, maybe that's just too nuts, and you put it aside. And of course, now in retrospect, I regret it, because I would have liked to include those things in the first feature, but I think that's one key difference in the writing. In the production, one of the great things is that you're still, I'm particularly obsessive and quite, stubborn, and, I will push things until they, in a friendly way, but still, never giving up until we get what we need. But when you're making your first feature, everything is of this utmost importance. It is literally the weight of the world is on every decision, no matter how small, because you still don't have enough experience to understand that, it's going to be fine. This is not going to make or break the film. And so in that sense, the second feature, you have a little bit more confidence in that sense that,
and also a little bit more chilled.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah, so you don't have this thing of oh my God, if I don't get the seventh take of this one medium shot, the world is over. You're like, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So, it's we don't have enough time, so we need to move to the next scene. It's good, I got it, let's move on.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But you completed your internship with Spike Lee. What was that experience like, and what did you learn?
That's going a long way back. Yeah, that's when I finished the MFA at NYU, and I was an intern on this one pilot that he was doing in LA for Showtime. And I mean, what was the main thing I learned? One is sticking by your decisions. So, listening to feedback and then understanding, your role as director, which is, it's not to feel insecure that other people are making suggestions, because the final decision will always be yours. And Spike was very much like that. He listened to everyone in that kind of like semi-silent sort of nodding, with those serious droopy eyes. And then he would just make his decision, and sometimes he would be taking on what somebody else has said. Other times it wouldn't be. But it was this beautiful idea of, the captain of a ship. The main responsibility of a captain of a ship or director of a film is that you decide. You might make the wrong decision, but someone has to decide.
Yeah.
Because no one else wants that responsibility. Nobody else has that responsibility. And so that was a key, realization, that he very happily took on that burden. And so he would listen to the other opinions, but he would always understand, I'm the one who has to move the ship in this way, and off we go. Yeah.
Well, it's like, I think it's a great advice, like in every creature, like field.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Wow, that's really, really cool. Okay, but what is something you hope that audiences will take out of the film?
Well, I mean, on one hand, there's definitely, I want to promote dialogue about euthanasia, right? Because I do think that all countries should legalize it. Because right now, I mean, out of, we've got almost 200 countries or something, or 190 something in the UN, 10 legalize euthanasia. So that I would like to change. But obviously, you don't make a film just as a political message, because then you would have written a newspaper article. But so I guess I would like them to realize that it's okay to bring things that scare you into your life. And if you just embrace them with a little bit more courage and humor, because laughing is courage, I think humor is courage, then it will make your life better. It will allow you also to look into corners of your life that you don't normally look into, and it will improve it.
Oh, so beautiful thoughts. Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
okay,
thank you.
but we've uncovered so many great details about this movie and about this story. And thank you for joining with us here. And it was really nice to talk to you and nice to meet you.
Nice to talk to you too.
Yeah,
and meet you too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And thank you for tuning into PÖFF TV. I hope I will see you here again. So catch you later. Bye.
Catch you later, PÖFF TV. Do it.